Fresh is the new horror thriller coming from Hulu, starring Daisy Edgar-Jones and Sebastian Stan, and it is the horrors of modern dating as a young woman must survive her newfound boyfriend and his unusual appetites. It is a very bizarre movie. It goes to some wild places at times and also hits some very standard horror thriller beats. But we're going to go through all the goods and the bads in this video today. Up next. Bad number one is the finale, specifically the last 15, not even 15, maybe like last 10 minutes of the movie. It's pretty much probably like the coda after the finale, but it all gets looped into one there. But basically the end of this movie, spoiler alerts for anyone who has not seen it, turn this off and go watch it before you come back here. Or if you don't give a fuck, let's just rock with it. The finale of this movie sees our lead, who has been kidnapped and abducted and held prisoner by her boyfriend because he is a cannibal that sells human flesh to high bidders so that they can enjoy the good fruits of the labor, the good meaty portions of women. And so this girl spends the movie trying to get free, and in the end, she does. She ends up saving her best friend, who's also been kidnapped, and another girl who is there, and the three of them make their escape and also kill Sebastian Stan. All that, fine. After that, they get away. Our villain's wife and part of the company show up to like see what's going on and clean up some of the mess. And while they're doing that, our three girls have gotten away and they're safe and they're by a barn, and one of the girls goes to get her phone to make a call and she has no service. And by her saying, "Oh, I have no service," it instantly reminds our main character that she dropped her phone back where the villain is dead. And she says, "Everyone stay here. I'm going to go get it. I'll be right back." What? Why do you need nor care about your phone right now in this moment? You just got away from a potentially horrifying situation where they were carving pieces of you. Why would you go back for your phone? Just get a new phone. It's a ridiculously contrived thing that they put in just to get her to go back to the scene of the crime so that she can have one last fight with the wife of our villain. It's stupid. There's no reason for it to exist. It's literally just in there so they could wrap up the portion with the wife. And it's just so needlessly convoluted and silly. Like, it took me right out of the movie. I was super invested in that finale, and then they had that little piece on at the end, and I was like, that was the dumbest shit ever. They literally just have it because in the middle of the movie, when the best friend is investigating and trying to find out what happened to her friend, she tracks down our villain's wife and their family, and she goes to them and goes, "I think your husband has been seeing my best friend. I don't know how to tell you this. I'm sorry." And it turns out that the wife is actually in on this horrific corporate thing that they've got going on where they're selling flesh, and you find out that the wife actually is like missing a leg, so she was a part of it at one point, but she's in on it with Sebastian Stan, and she knocks out the best friend. So that whole coda at the end to get our main chick to go back to fight with the wife and start getting choked out by the wife is literally just there so that the best friend can then show up with a shovel and murder her to get like revenge for what happened. And I have no problem with her getting revenge. My problem is with the really silly way that they did it just to have them go back and do it. Like, it was literally just like, "Oh, I forgot my phone, even though we just escaped from a cannibal's house. Let me go back and get it." It's stupid. Speaking of the wife, it brings us to bad number two. There's not enough of the wife. She's in it for literally that one scene where she attacks the best friend with the husband so that they can get one over on her. And then there's one more short little scene where we see that she's missing part of her leg, which tells us that she was at one time one of these victims. And then that's it. Then we don't see her again until the end when the best friend shows up and murders her. It feels like it's a plot point that definitely could have been expanded a little bit and get a little bit more insight to, because it's a really interesting thing that would have been nice to learn more about. And it's not even a thing like to bridge stuff together which would have been nice because like there's a scene in the middle of the movie where our main character is reading a magazine and finds a little hidden message in the magazine that says, if you're reading this magazine, it means he likes you. Use this. And then it has her name in it. And the name that was in it, I was fully expecting that to end up being the wife once we saw that she was missing a leg. And it was like, and that would have been like a nice way to bridge those two together. But then later on, when Daisy Edgar-Jones is with Sebastian Stan and he's showing her the like mural of all the girls, we see the girl whose name was in the thing, and it's a completely different person. So it's just like, all right, that was, I guess, a waste. There was really no reason for that because she doesn't come back in to help at all or anything. Like I was expecting the wife to come back in and help her at all, but then they just had like the really boring idea that the wife just doubled down and was just really invested in helping her husband do this, even though he took a piece of her leg, and I feel like it was just a missed opportunity. Bad number 3, and our final bad, is the bartender, like C-story character. He is a guy, he's just a bartender who's there the night that our two main characters meet. So he has the main villain's name because he used a credit card at the bar. So when the best friend's trying to track them down, she goes to the bartender, uses her feminine charm to get him to give up the last name of the guy so that she could track him down. She sends the bartender her location to be like, if anything happens to me, like this is my location. And the bartender, like later on, like he's looking at it, notices that she's not answering texts anymore, sees her location, screenshots it, and then all of a sudden her location comes up as not available anymore. So he's like, let me go. I should go investigate that. He drives out to find the last known location, literally pulls up to the house, hears the gunshot where like the finale is happening and everything, and just goes like, nah, and just leaves. And then we never see him again. It's not even like, and like I don't have a problem with him like not getting involved in the finale of the action because it really should stay contained with the girls, like they have to overcome it themselves. But like you could have just had like a quick thing like at the end of Get Out where it's like after they've killed them and they're coming down in the road trying to get away, boom, he pulls up and that's their ride out of there, and there you go. That's all he had to do. But they don't even do that. He just goes like, nah, I'm out of here. And he just dips, and then we never see him again. It's like tiny little things that just like leave this too open-ended. I feel like it's just like weird little nitpicks that get me at times in movies like that. And that's one of them where it's just like, he just does all this stuff and we stick all this time with him for him to just be like the classic black guy joke where he's like, nope, that's how we die. And then he just drives off and he's gone. And it's just like, really? Like that's you built all that up just to do that tired old joke? Like, okay. But now we're in for our goods. There's a lot of good stuff in this movie. It's a very fun thriller movie. And our first good is our two leads. Daisy Edgar-Jones and Sebastian Stan are really good in this movie. I've never seen Daisy Edgar-Jones in anything else before. This is the first thing I've ever actually seen her in. And she's really good in it. She really conveys that kind of cynicism in the beginning about like never finding a guy and being okay with being alone. And then she has that doe-eyed optimism when she's with the guy and thinks that it's going well. And then it builds all the way up into that I need to play along and do what I can and keep this inner strength to get out of here at the end. It's a very nice little arc for her, this journey that she takes. And she plays it very well. She does really well in this movie. I would definitely be into seeing her in more things in the future. Sebastian Stan, that man, he's collecting quite a body of work for himself. But the first thing I ever saw him in was obviously the MCU stuff. He had done a bunch of TV, I think, before that, but I'd never really seen him in anything. It's really nice getting to see him in stuff now that's not the MCU. Because not that he's not good in the MCU, it's just that I feel like in the MCU, you're playing a very like kind of stock character within your superheroes, where this like really lets him, branch out and play. Like it's been great seeing him in these like side movies like this where he takes these really interesting roles outside of the MCU, like I, Tonya, Pam and Tommy, now this. He's just constantly changing it up every time he does a movie. And it's really fun to see him sink his teeth, no pun intended, into this cannibal role. It works really well for him. The two of them really knock it out of the park in this movie, and they really help sell this movie and elevate it up from what it is basically essentially just a B movie, but they help elevate the material to make it a very entertaining thriller. Good number two, it was a baller, unique move on their part, which really helped set this movie apart from others. And that's that the main credits of this movie don't come on until 30 minutes into this movie. It is bizarre. And I know it's 30 minutes because when the credits finally came on, I was so like taken aback. I was like, wait, what? And like that, I had to pause it and be like, there's no way. I was like, this movie's been going on for a while. And I was right. It was 30 minutes into this movie that the main credits come in, and they don't come in until they flip that switch on you and let you know that this movie is not what you think it's going to be. The first half hour of this movie is Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar-Jones meeting and kind of falling in love and being into each other and starting that like beginning process of dating. And it's nice and cute, and it doesn't really have any sinister overtones. And it just seems like you're just getting into like a nice little drama movie of like a romantic movie. And then he takes her away for a weekend, and they get up to the cabin and they're having a good time, and she notices that there's no service up there, and he said that it must be out. And then they have a drink together, and as she has the drink, her mind just starts to go fuzzy and she can't see anything or everything, and then all of a sudden she just passes out into the ground. And then you cut to Sebastian Stan, and he doesn't look worried at all. He's just sitting there drinking his drink, and then gets up and goes and puts on a record. And the title credits pop up fresh, and then it starts. And it is just like, fuck, that's a unique and awesome, interesting thing to do. I was like, that is a baller move right there. To like hold off credits to right then when you flip the switch on people and let them know that this movie is not what you expect. This movie is going to be wild. That was a very fun thing, and I really enjoyed that. I like when movies do unique stuff, especially this late in the game with how many movies that are out, how many movies constantly come out, how many movies we've seen. It's always nice when they can flip the switch on you and give you something that you haven't really seen or expected. So that's definite ups for them from that. Good number three is the subject matter of the movie. It's a movie about a girl that has been kidnapped by her boyfriend. And she finds out that her boyfriend is not what he seems. He is actually a doctor who is a cannibal. And what he does is he kidnaps girls that have little to no family, so nobody will come looking for them. And then he keeps them alive as long as he can and just surgically removes parts of their body so that he could cook and process and send them to these huge elite 1% rich of the rich people that want to have the one thing that's not on the menu: flesh. It is such a wild concept, and it's just played so perfectly straight and villainous. It's really good. I really like when they can tackle like these dark subject matters like that, and this was definitely one of them. There's also a really bonkers portion in the middle of the movie where when Daisy realizes that she's going to have to play along with this game and make this guy think that she's in love with him and is falling for him and getting Stockholm syndrome, she has dinner with him, and he cooks her some of the meat, and she has to sit through this dinner and not only try human flesh, but have to pretend that she's into it as well. It is such like, I didn't think they were going to go that far with it when it got to that scene and like he puts it on the table, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, there's no way she's going to eat it. Like, she's really going to eat this piece of flesh? Like, no fucking way. And they have her eat it, and she tries it. And obviously, like later on when she's back in her cell, you see her vomiting it all back up. But just the fact that they had the balls to go that far and have her really dive into this, I'm going to pretend to get this guy to lower his guard down, that she eats human flesh, is a baller fucking move. It's the whole middle section of the movie. It's funny because sometimes with movies, you get a really good beginning, the middle kind of sags a little bit, but then you get picked up by the end. And for this movie, for me, that middle section was actually the best part of the movie for me, where she's going through those sections where she's trying to get him to let his guard down and she's doing all the stuff that she wouldn't normally do. That part of the movie I was just fucking floored on. I was just sold. I was so invested, and it was very phenomenally done. Number four, and our last good, I know I complained about portion of it before, but everything before that in our finale is still fucking awesome. The finale up until they kill Sebastian Stan is really freaking good. She is going to have dinner with him again, and tonight is the night she's really selling it. She's selling it hard. Sebastian Stan's got her in a dress. He left his phone to his wife upstairs. Like, he's fully expecting to cement this Stockholm syndrome relationship tonight. And they do. They have this wonderful dinner together. He really opens up and lowers his guard and tells her all about this world that he's in. He shows her his collection of all the girls that he's kidnapped already, his mural. They drink wine, they dance, they do all this stuff. And finally, he takes her upstairs to the bedroom where they're going to get it on. She's going to cement it again. They start making out. They do all this stuff. They start getting naked. She pulls down his pants, gets ready to blow him. And right before she's about to blow him, you just get a close-up shot of her mouth. And you just see her bar her teeth like a fucking wild animal. And then you just hear Sebastian Stan scream. And she just bites his dick straight off. And then he's on the floor writhing in pain. She runs out, locks the room, and takes his keys so that she can go and get the other girls out. And then they have this brutal three-way fight. The three of them have to fight Sebastian Stan to get out of there. And it's such a good fight because none of them are strong. Like, even Sebastian Stan's not that strong, but all four of them, it's just like they're fighting tooth and nail and giving everything they got to try and survive this. And like the one girl that they have is like missing all these body parts, so all she can do is crawl and try and attack him. The best friend is still like drugged a little bit and fucked up, so she's not like at full percent. Daisy is not at full percent. She's got her ass taken out. And Sebastian Stan's got his dick, he's just bleeding heavily. So like all of them are at such a disadvantage, and everyone is just using every piece of the environment they can to try and get a toehold. It's so good, and I love when movies do shit like that, where like they make it believable and they make it work. Because like nothing makes me more endeared to those three girls than the fact that they were just consistently getting their ass kicked, but they just kept pulling back, because if they didn't keep going and overcoming, then they were dead. And that is so much more interesting than a movie like we saw like a few weeks ago with Uncharted, where it was like the main villain in that was the girl was just an ass kicker because she's a woman. That's boring. This is just so much more interesting because these girls are digging so deep into their soul to overcome this that you're just fucking rooting for them so badly because they're just getting absolutely demolished. It's so good. And then the three of them escape. Sebastian Stan knows he can't fight them one-on-one, so he comes out and now he's got a gun and he's hunting them down in the woods. And they get the toehold on him, and then the three of them just stand over him, and it's kind of like the end of Death Proof, where they're just raining fucking blows down on him and just absolutely beating the shit out of him until Daisy grabs the gun and tells him to smile, like just so condescendingly the way he did to her earlier in the movie, and then just shoots him point blank in the head. It is so freaking good up to that. That is just, it's phenomenal. Just phenomenally done. Just a great, absolute great work right there for that finale. And that's what we've got for Fresh. It's a really good horror thriller. It's a solid output from Hulu, especially with streaming movies can go, very hit or miss. And if they miss hard. And the hits are very infrequent. But this one is a really good movie. It's a solid movie to check out. It's a good date movie if you're just looking for something heavy to watch at night, one night together. It's a phenomenal movie that you should definitely check out. It's a lot of fun. It's a great, interesting little streaming movie to come out. Nothing that's going to break the bank. It's just something that you'll enjoy. You'll feel like you got your money's worth at the end, and it didn't waste any of your time. So for me, Fresh gets a whopping 3 stars. It's a solid, entertaining popcorn thriller, and there's far too few of those out these days. So we'll take them where we could get them. But until next time, you have been you, I have been me. These are the movies that we love. And until next time, adventure on.